here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Universal Pathways. This is a show that is aired on Saturday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Typically, I'm your host, Curtis Douglas-El, and today I'm here with our guest, Hanzo Ariza-El. You can actually watch us live on MillenniumTV24.com. Viewers can download the Millennium TV app on their iPhone App Store, Google Play Store for all Android devices. You can also watch us live on Roku, Apple TV, LG TV, Sony Smart TV, and Blu-ray Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV, Horizon Satellite, as well as just go to the website www.millenniumtv24.com and you can actually view us live all over. Again, I'm your host, Curtis Douglas-El. You're watching Universal Pathway, and I'm here today with my good brother, Mr. Hanzo Ariza-El. How you doing, my brother?
I am doing well.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
All
is well.
Can you tell our viewing audience who's listening here in America and all over the world a little bit about yourself?
Well, I will have to make it short. However, I would like to, with the permission and the permission of the network, I would like to show extend my gratitude not only to you, also to the director and to the network itself for such an excellent job. You know, I was just thinking, we are in a great time to exist, to live, and with that, there's this our individual consciousness, and with that, we are now being reconnected to this universal, or to our true consciousness, and with that, it means that no longer the theories and the plans that we have made are no longer valid. We have to start thinking. We have to start speaking. We have to start behaving. We have to start doing things that we may not be used to, and we have to start listening to information, because we are at a time that information, it has been finally again unveiled. It has been hidden for millennials, but now it's made possible. It's made available to all of us, not just me, but everyone. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. The information is there. Look for it. As soon as you start looking for it, it will come to you. With that, I want to say thank you. And this Universal Pathways show is an excellent medium. It's an excellent channel because it talks about that new consciousness. It relates to that new consciousness. You know, it's not about the individual anymore. It's about collectiveness. It's about the collective consciousness, about the society as a collective entity. It's all a collective. It's all universal now. So I want to thank you so much. My name is Hanzo Ariza-El, as you said. I have worn many hats. I traveled throughout the world. I've been very fortunate, but I come from a very, very humble beginnings. I'm the kind of child that, as little I remember, whatever I remember, we only have about one pair of shorts. I remember that we had to wash it once a week and hang it up in the sun to dry and wait naked in a corner of a house or hiding until we got, so we can use it again and go out and mingle with the other children. So I was very fortunate. Also, I feel very fortunate to come from that beginning, because throughout my experiences, my lifetime here, my journey, I have learned to truly appreciate this thing we call life. Mm-hmm. I have struggled a great deal, but I am so glad. I'm so fortunate. You know, even my parents, I didn't grow up with my biological parents. They didn't understand me. What is this boy? This is crazy. What is he talking about? What is he? Why is he calling us a liar? Because I knew I had the perception of truth even when I was an infant, and I used to call my mom, my biological mom, "You're a liar. You're a liar," until they passed me on to her aunt, who became my mother, and they raised me with a great deal of value and love and affection. So I was very fortunate to have that.
Hmm.
That's something that I overcame, but again, I see it now. I was so fortunate to have that kind of parenthood and that kind of background. I so much appreciate life now, and I so much appreciate the people out there. Even if I don't know you, I haven't ever seen you, I will embrace you as my brother, because this is what we are. Um, so you asked the question before, a little bit about my background. That's in summary. That's a little bit of that. Besides that, I came to America in the 1972, 73 era. I lived in Japan. Um, I traveled all over the world, like I said, and I was fortunate to learn and to acquire some type of education. Um, I put myself through college. That was a struggle, but I did overcame, and I'm so fortunate, and I'm so in gratitude. Uh, I'm trying to make it short because I have worn many hats, and I don't want to bore you with my journey.
Yeah. Let me say this way. The truth of the matter is, what I like about the nature of our show, Universal Pathway, is just that. It's universal. It is said, truth be told, is that the creator of all is one, yet is more than one. Why do we say that? Because from this one source is all the living in all its variance aspect. And if we can appreciate and have a better appreciation for variety, the uniqueness that we all bring, we all don't have the same fingerprint. And that's one of the reasons why even, enforcement can be done. They said, what's your fingerprint? So the unique things that we have as human beings, let us stand out in the crowd. And it's a beautiful thing. We all need to have our unique approach to life. So here on Universal Pathways, we allow our guests to speak their truth because it's their lens, it's their perspective. And no one could say your perspective is invalid other than the one who created each and every one of us. So with that being said, when anyone sit in this seat or on this platform, all are truly welcome. From the highs, from the lows, it does not matter. We're all equal in the eyes of the very creator that enabled us to be animated today. So thank you for that brief introduction. And as you were speaking, certain things stood out for me. You said the plans that we made are no longer valid. I just want to touch on that a little bit. And you went into different things. Clearly, we have one today who's highly educated from a scholarly perspective. And like you said, you came from humble beginnings. I too have had challenges in my early life, so I can definitely relate to that. And I think with someone such as yourself with such a vast array of experience, that's what we love about this show. We allow ones now to share from their journey so others coming behind us can benefit. So think from that perspective. When you said plans are no longer valid, just kind of speak to that a little bit because we just want to clear that up. So there's, ones could be clear. Why did you say that?
Well, the reason that I say that is two things. First of all, is we have been provided everything that we need to embark in this journey. It's all a matter of manifesting that. However, some of us don't have as much of the opportunity because of encouragement or because of where we come from. But I guarantee you one thing: it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is that you're here, present in this time, and you are not only responsible for your life, but you have all these tools available to you, especially nowadays. And it's up to you. It is your responsibility to take charge. If you don't take charge, something else or somebody else will take charge. And the reason that I say that is because, see, we are all children of creation.
Yes.
Let's call it the creator, whatever you want to call it, it matters not. The important things are we are all of the same source. And because we all the same soul, we share this we share the universal laws, we ecclesiastical laws. We share uh, the same laws that govern true and elevated consciousness. Here's this: because of that, by nature of that, we have access to everything. We all have access. We all have. It's just that we have to take accountability for ourselves as individuals. Very well done. Uh, and here's this: I have to make sure that my needs as a human being, as a physical being, are met. When I take care of myself, when I'm taking care of this body, I am taking care of God, because this is creation. This is part of my creation. This is one aspect of the creation. Of creation. I am one aspect of creation. So I need to take care of that as if it were a special gift. I need to take care of my mind. I need to take care of my emotions. I need to live or to exist in the best life possible. That in doing that, I'm honoring the creator. Now, I have to take into consideration this: because of the time and all this information. Remember, truth, as you said, truth was, is, and it will always be. The truth has always been there, but it has been hidden from us. Our history, not just as a group of people, but as people in general. It doesn't matter the pigmentation of your skin. We all have gone through the same thing. We have all been deprived of truth, and has been hidden by certain elite groups, certain individuals, certain groups. Now all of this is no longer hidden; it's out there. Especially thank you to technology, we can spread the information much faster. And because of that, we see this truth. We see that there's no congruency in the way we were engendered, and the way that, and the ways of the truth is there's no mismatch, there's no meshing, there's no congruency. So if there isn't, you find yourself in conflict, then listen, whatever you were taught, most probably it's not valid, it's not true. So let's actually take a moment, breathe in, and say, okay, I'm having a conflict with this. I'm feeling certain way about this. Hmm. But this is truth. Maybe I should adjust myself at the plans that I made. Oh, why am I having such hard time getting this done? Why is this so difficult? Why is this so hard? It's not that it's difficult. It's you. As a creator of yourself. You're creating friction and trying to stay with your old belief system. You see, we are a product of our own thoughts. See, our reality is really a projection of our thoughts. So if your reality doesn't go with the truth, you're going to see a lot of banging, not meshing, lot of lack of congruency. You're going to experience a lot of unhappiness and friction. So what we need to do is to step back and live each and every day as if you expect nothing. Just do what you need to do or what you want to do. Be happy. Be in congruency. Be loyal to the laws of our Creator, and see what happens. Let's stop hanging on to ideals and things that they're not even ours. So let's adopt this attitude. Okay, whatever happens, it happens, but I want to do this, and I want to do this to the best of my knowledge. I'm going to do this, enjoy this to the fullest, and just go with that. Don't worry about the outcome, because the outcome, whatever it is it's already there for you. You're a child of God. You're not going to be in despair if you are on the plane of truth. You will always succeed.
I get the sense of what you're saying. And just a quick summary before we go to a quick moment as far as a commercial. Just want to summarize, in essence, what I drew from what you just said. The question asked, if one's had plans before, why saying it's no longer valid, has a lot to do with consciousness. We're in a time now where people are becoming more and more conscious of what is, the truth that is. So in other words, they're no longer in that box because of this, the age that we're in. Information is available. One now has a cell phone, which now give you access to the world in the palm of your hand. So to be able to have something like a cell phone in the palm of your hand, we're seeing where they're making sure cell phones are in every single person's hand globally. Why? Because now you can affect the mind. So if one now realize that the cell phone cannot outdo the one who invent the cell phone, we're truly slow in really making the mark. And I get the gist of what you're saying. We need to improve, make sure that we see we're creators of our world. And the one who created us gave us certain attributes of itself. And we can now utilize that to our better. So with that being said, we're going to go to a commercial and we'll speak to you in about a minute. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
Welcome back to Universal Pathway. I'm your host, Curtis Douglas-El, and today we're in the studio with Hanzo Ariza-El, a scholar in many ways. He haven't mentioned it yet, but I'm going to ask him to really touch on it at some point. This man have like 2 different degrees on many different levels. He's worked for some very big name companies. But before the break or before the commercial, he mentioned just a certain level of accountability that we must all have to bring out the best us, the creativity, because we're in an age now where we have access to information. We have access to technology. We have access to so much. And the key is it's really up to us going forward. And the old order is no longer valid in the sense of we truly can now shape our world because of what is now available. All these tools. We have cell phones. We have access to the internet. Information is just so readily available. And I agree with him in the sense that, yes, the information is there, but you know what the issue is? Application.
Yes.
Application. I've always said what's greater than the truth applied. I can have all the wisdom in the world, but if we don't apply it, it will not be utilized for our benefit. And someone will just let you be a servant or be of their benefit in their paradigm. But we're in a time period now where every single individual, the playing field is level and it's beautiful. So nothing is bad in of itself. It's how we use it. The cell phone is a tool. So many tools in life. It's how we use it. One could use a cell phone and be on the cell phone all day and all they're doing is gossiping. Or you can actually now share information that make your brother or sister better. Just like the type of news and information that comes by way of our network. Our entire goal is to make the world a better place. So with that said, my brother, you kind of went into a little bit in my second question, which kind of caters along the line of saying, tell us about a time or how you came into this universal perspective. So you clearly kind of already went into that of life and, how is the interaction going to make human beings better? So let's expound upon that a little bit. And I just want you to connect also with that some of the school of thoughts you've been a part of. You mentioned to me, at some point that you had 2 degrees, not here on the set, but that you have 2 degrees.
Yes.
Can you just speak a little bit to that and some of the practicals that you've learned out there in life, interacting in some of the different companies that you've worked with?
Well,
Speak to that a little bit.
to begin with, let's take it a little bit back before that. And I grew up. I grew up Catholic, in a Catholic environment. I moved on into other things, and as I travel, I study other religions. I studied Buddhism for 18 years. I studied Hinduism for 13 years with my Swami Bua, who died about 123, about 3.5 years ago. I studied many religion, many other belief systems. From Yoruba, from Palo in Cuba. I learned, I'm a certified shaman. I have all these things that I've experienced, and I came to one conclusion, and the conclusion is that we are a reflection of creation. We are a perfect reflection. That is, whether you think of the universe, of the planets, or you think of nature, you think of any animals, we have all these different natures within ourselves. We represent the perfect manifestation of creation. And with that being said, that makes me realize that I am not going to. With time, I realize I cannot be held down to somebody's philosophy, somebody's ideas or ideals, to a set of dogmatic rules. I have to exist beyond that. In order for me to do that, I have to come back to source. I have to come back and reconnect with our creator. I have to look beyond religious, dogmatic beliefs, individual beliefs. I have to look beyond those things because that was their experiences. I'm looking for mine. So I'm looking to unveil that aspect of mine that still remains a mystery. So in order for me to do that, I have to learn, and this is what we're doing. We're giving that information. Hopefully, people will be able to catch something and say, okay, maybe I can use this to get to this point. I'm hoping that I can reach somebody, say something, not as a Muslim, not as an individual, a spiritual man, but as just an individual, just a masculine man. To say something that can inspire somebody to just take something and go out there and do something with it, apply it, because I can be exposed to a vast amount of truth or of information, but it will not do anything unless I apply it, because that is the testimonial. Can you apply this? Can this benefit you? Can this bring about honor unto the Creator? So with that, I study. Yes, I did study many of these religions, and I study other things. Of course, I'm in religion. I'm still a deacon in Christianism, in Christianity, and that's something that I like to be successful at whatever I do. I really enjoy being successful at whatever I do. Just like in the more American society, I'm looking to be successful as well in my endeavor. I did study electromechanical engineering. I did obtain an electromechanical engineering, and then I went into another 4 years with Pratt in America. That I started with mechanical engineering, and halfway through I changed to electrical engineering, and this is how I wound up actually getting a scholarship, because I was able to graduate with honors both times and move on and work for NASA. I was the only individual that was offered a permanent position from the beginning with both NASA, and I remember it was Bell Lab. Bell Lab is the it of the private industry. You make it there, you're done. So, but I had to wave. I said, I see all these guys around me. They all have PhDs. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life studying. I wanted to apply something. I wanted to begin applying. I was eager to begin applying myself and my experiences, not just in engineering, but in life in general. So I went with NASA instead, and I worked for a few years, and I had to take an early retirement. The reason that I did that is because I was just not happy. I didn't want to become them. I saw around me the people around me, they were not happy. These are things that belong what is called to the lower self, or that part of you that is here and it's not permanent. It always changes. That's the lower self. I just didn't want to be part of. I didn't want to be like that, or that kind of individual. I aspired for so much more, and I was looking for so much more. The challenge was just not there for that other aspect of me. Mind you, that all these things never did I allow them to define me as a spiritual being, which is what I am. I never allowed them to define me in any possible way. I was always until today. I'm always looking forward to learn new things, to explore new things, and I think this is part of the human nature. Is our true nature is really just expansion, just like the universe. It constantly expand. If we get stuck, if we become um, uh, you know close into something where there's an idea or ideals or philosophy, we are going to start experiencing friction or suffering. Because again, our true nature is one of expansion, just like the universe, just like anything else. Again, I said it. We are a perfect reflection of creation. So anything you can think of it of a plant. It doesn't want to stay. It wants to spread. It wants to expand. It wants to give flowers. It wants to do things. Think of the universe. Although there's the black hole, but still there's so much of an expansion. Our mind, our true selves is the same way. Our true nature is the same way.
Let me interject for a quick moment, just to speak to some of what you just mentioned. Perfection. You know, it's said that one is perfect, right? And we're a perfect reflection of. But keep in mind, how can one be a perfect reflection of that which they don't know? So it creates a scenario where if people are ignorant to certain facts, they truly can't live up to that potential.
That is true.
Take, for instance, if you go to a job and there's an ideology to that job, they hired you based on the resume, for instance. They expected you to perform at a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't perform at that level, they let you go. So perfection in that instant now becomes a perspective to a certain degree, because the job needs to produce based on a supply and demand. In the same way, from a creative perspective, there's an ideal that we're all looking for. So even the child who create a stick figure, that was perfectly what he or she could do at that level. But as the child grow, the child is now becoming one now who's creating art that literally looks as close as possible to you, but it's still not you. It's just a image that is supposed to represent you. So what we call the universe, what we call the creator, truth be told, no one have a monopoly on it. We just know that it exists and we can utilize it. We do our best to come close to that. And if one call that perfection, they have the right to call it perfection because they're working towards that goal. And that is the goal of everyone in life, to work towards being a better you. And that intention now leads you towards what? Perfection. So if the highest goal that we have as human beings is perfection, it's a beautiful thing because it gives me the capability, just like the child creating the stick figure, one day now creating a figure with flesh, bones, and everything else that looks closely to me. The child is always improving upon their craft, improving upon their life. And that's what I'm hearing Brother Ariza-El speaking to, that as he grow, he's changing, he's adjusting. He worked for NASA. He saw that what was there no longer fit his ideal. So he moved on to something else. And he's now grown to be what? A better self, a better version of himself. So with that being said, we do realize that the physical body has some limitation. Why do I say that? It has a beginning, it has an end. But we know that energy in of itself, the true essence that animate us, we can only transform it, utilize it into something else. The battery dies, but where does the battery get its source? It comes from somewhere. And that source is limitless. just like electricity and different things of that nature kind of speaks to an unseen force that we can all tap into. So with that being said, I just want to chime into that because sometimes I say it this way: we're perfectly imperfect as human beings, and it's okay. Why do I say that? Because if I make a mistake, I can correct myself. As long as I have breath in my body, I can correct myself. So I need not beat up on myself. So there's an ideal to everything. Governments have ideals. Community have ideals. Even in, the various different religious communities, for instance. To be a Muslim, it means one who's now submitting to the ideal based on their faith to please the very creator. And that could be said of every single religion. So, yes, to keep the commonality, we want to speak to ones from a neutral place as a human being. So you said as a man, you want to speak to the listening audience as a man. And I get what you're saying. You've gone through Christianity. You've experienced certain roles in Christianity. Now you're, as a Moorish American, you're now learning and developing yourself to be a better human being so we can have a universal appeal, not taking sides, but being neutral to be of benefit to those who we interact with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That therein makes perfect sense, because therein lies the concept of perfection. So the existence of perfection, it doesn't mean the lack of imperfect, or the lack of something. It doesn't mean the presence of something, but it also means the existence of imperfection. See? So the existence of perfection, it also implies the existence of imperfection. There's a balance, just like between the planets. There's always these laws, this balance. That's why they don't collide with each other. This is our mind. It's always ever growing. There's things happening and developing. So there's always this balance of things, and this is where we need to exist. This is what we've been taken away from. Thousands of years ago. I don't want to change the subject, but we were able to communicate telepathically. There was no need for language. Language came later on. But we were able to feel each other's thoughts. We were connected to a collective consciousness, but it was taken from us. We were made to forget these things. So now, I'm thinking about this, and then the person shows up. That's telepathy. But we are not. We have been blocked away from this truth and with these daily practices that we don't really realize it. We call it intuition. There's no such thing. It's you. It's the telepathy. It's you being connected to each other, and then each other connected to a higher consciousness. If we can go back to something like that we start to feel each other's thought, to trying to chime into each other, to connect with each other, to go back to source. That's what I mean. Then you see that a lot of the suffering in the world will minimize.
But you see, in just what you said, going back to the capabilities to even be telepathic in our nature, that's what all these groups originally, their intention was. So because of the imperfection that can happens at times, issues happen. So ones might experience dogmatic religion, but religion in of itself is a beautiful thing. Okay? So the various different intent of the group can get lost because sometimes you have ones who become sluggishness in their will. They become a little bit lazy. And then they no longer stick around for what? Resolution. If there's an issue, they don't stick around to resolve the issue. So the whole idea in us learning from our lives is to actually help others now to see the consistency in now learning a life lesson and passing it on to somebody else. Because it becomes a seed in this vortex of energy that can be sown from the unseen world. We know if we do certain things, you plant a seed, it comes back to you. But we're not doing it for the motivation to say it comes back to us. We're doing it for the motivation because we know the benefit, because we're builders. First, building the mind. Just like you said, telepathically. If I'm communicating with you telepathically, I should not think thoughts that could be hindrance or not loving towards you. So now thought now becomes a force.
Yes.
So that's why we said that imperfection, the negativity, if we want to look at it from that perspective. So it's just various different perspectives as we now communicate to make us better. So we use these tools. Some tools remove ungainly parts. We spoke about a garden recently at home. We have to prune now that we're coming out of the winter into the spring.
Yes.
So we prune now and the tree grows back so plush.
Yes.
So with that being said, hold that thought. We're going to expound upon that as we come from this. We're going to take this 1 minute commercial. We're going to go to a commercial here as well.
Welcome to Millennium News 24, your trusted source for accurate, unbiased news. We're here to bring you the stories that matter most from America and around the world with integrity and a commitment to truth. In today's world, where misinformation can easily spread, having access to reliable news is more important than ever. At Millennium News 24, we aim to cut through the noise by delivering clear, fact-based reporting. Whether you're following major events or looking for in-depth analysis, we are here to serve you with transparency and respect for all communities regardless of color, wealth, or religion. This beautiful America was built by the resilience of its people, immigrants, entrepreneurs, doctors, and everyday individuals working together to create something great. It's this spirit that inspires us to provide you with news that's inclusive, honest, and relevant. We believe that informed citizens are the foundation of a strong society, and we strive to give you the knowledge you need to make a difference. From breaking news to insightful features, we bring you comprehensive coverage on politics, economics, health, culture, and much more. We believe that everyone deserves access to the truth, and we are proud to be a part of a global network that connects people through information. Stay informed by following us on your devices, including iOS, Android, Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, and Smart TVS. And for global access, we're also available on Horizon Satellite. Visit us at www.millenniumtv24.com or www.millenniumnews24.com to stay updated at Millennium News 24. Our mission is to promote unity, understanding, and progress in a rapidly changing world. Join us as we work to inspire positive action through the power of truth. Thank you for watching. Follow us, subscribe, and stay informed.
Welcome back to Universal Pathways. I'm your host, Curtis Douglas-El, and I'm here in the studio today with Mr. Hanzo Ariza-El. The discussion kind of, touched on various different things as we discuss things here today, and we're in, the latter portion of our show today for the mere fact that we did get started a little bit late. And I just want to also take the opportunity to, if we had viewers who were there at 1 o'clock, who were waiting for the show to start, we want to say thank you for your patience with us. And sometimes there's some technical difficulties in the studio. So also just want to thank the crew here and the staff here for handling that to the best of their abilities as well. They did a very beautiful job. Sometimes the service and different things of that nature, the satellite, there's some glitches, and we just had to get through all of that. So with that being said, just want to bring it back to the conversation as it pertains to just universal pathway and some of the lessons that one can now draw from the discussion that we're having today. We're here with Mr. Ariza-El, who literally, he has 2 degrees. He's worked for NASA, and he himself as well has been a teacher on various different levels. I'd like for you to speak a little bit too, because the audience might not know. You've had at one point about 5 different locations from a martial arts perspective.
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes the audience might hear, you're speaking about the various different school of thought you've been to as well, whether it be the Yoruba tradition, the various different spirituality that came by way of Cuba,
Yes.
And different perspective. You mentioned Buddhism as well. You mentioned various different teachers that you've actually been influenced by. So we do see that mentorship plays a huge role in your life.
Yes.
And you yourself have turned around and mentored others.
Yes.
You're also a father of a beautiful young man, Brother Rashid. So I want to kind of speak to that a little bit because when I mentioned fatherhood just now, I see you light up. And there's something about it when we've now drawn from life and we can now make that deposit into a newer vessel, kind of like bringing everything that we're saying. We want to make sure that the bad experience that we might have had, we want to protect and teach the next generation to the best of our ability.
Yes.
And we have ones who are listening to us who are mothers and fathers, and they too, I've heard it said that there's three type of people. There's the fool, there's the smart, and there's the wise. By no means am I calling anybody foolish.
I'm not any of those.
It says that the foolish man never learned from his mistake. It says that the smart man learned from his mistake, but the wise man learned from the fool and the smart man. It is our goal in life to be wise. And that's the ideal when we spoke about earlier perfection. So now we see the imperfect in being a fool, right? We also see the imperfection to some degree because at some point, even the smart man has been foolish, whether it be how you handle finance, whether it be how you handle relationships, how you handle your interaction with your neighbor. So when we keep all those things in perspective, the beautiful thing is it helps us to adjust in our thinking to realize, oh, wow, I never saw it from that perspective before. You know what? Maybe I could utilize that. So now I want to entertain what? Wisdom. But you can only receive something when you're open to it, because sometimes we just don't know. So with that being said, my good brother, can you speak a little bit to fatherhood? Because we want to touch on that and how all these experiences that you've gained as a martial artist, having at different point, I think about 5+ dojos. You know, like you said, you've been to Japan, your world traveled, and unbeknownst to most, you had a certain level of fame throughout your life. So kind of speak to that a little bit, but I really want you to speak to, and congratulations on being a new father. I really respect fatherhood because I myself, I'm always learning how to be a better father as well.
It's not only that; it's part of my evolution. I'm 61 years old at this point, and I am very taken with the experiences. Is I done it before. I mean, my youngest daughter is 21, so I thought it would be easier. But there's just no one set of rule. There's certain things that I expected, but there's no set of rules really. You just have to, as a father, you have to exist in the best of your ability. You have to honor creation, and by doing that, you're honoring yourself. By honoring yourself, you're honoring your seed. And they tell you all these things about respect, about this, about that. Listen, it doesn't matter what you teach your child, because at one time or another, your child is going to grow up, become an individual, an intelligent individual, whether you educate him or not or whatever, and he will make choices for him or herself. See, you can only influence that process, but then once he gets there, which is 13, 14, you start seeing different things, and sometimes you don't like it as a father. But that's because that is he or she is becoming that individual. It's evolving into something, selecting something.
Yeah, let me interject real quick there. I'm just going to use my life as an example, and so the audience can know a little bit more about me. And I hear what you just said. I respect my father in this aspect in many ways. And I see what you're saying. There's some areas that I might not agree with what my father did, but my father was a very stern disciplinarian. When I was younger, I was very introverted. Once see me talk now, if you got 5 words out of me in a day, you got a lot. I was just very introverted and I would not speak much. But I had this tendency where I was the type that would very sneaky. I would literally, my younger brother, I would get your skin and literally sink my fingernails in his skin because I thought that he got more attention than I did. So I was practicing hate. So when he started crying, my dad would realize what I was doing, and my dad would rightfully discipline me to make sure I do not do that to my younger brother. Now, as a grown man, I know better than to harm another human being physically. I would not want to cause you pain. And if you let me know that I'm causing you pain, I would make the necessary adjustment and I would not do that. So I'm saying that my dad taught me that I should respect my younger brother, and also be a little bit more thick-skinned and stop thinking that the whole world is against me, practicing hate against me. So there's such a thing as tough love, and my dad taught me tough love.
Yes.
And to this day, I love my dad for that, because I would not even want to imagine where I would be, because I had this tendency to want to hurt people. And my dad had to discipline me to make sure that's not a part. We know that in a lot of school of thought, like you mentioned Christianity earlier, and as a deacon, you are a deacon. Jesus had disciples. The word disciple, the root word for the word disciple, is discipline. So even in our teachings, it says, watch the bent inclination of a child. So we got to set them right in their early years, because once bad habits creep in, it's very difficult later on to change those bad habits. It's easy to bend a tree when it's flexible. Children, they can fall and they bounce because their bones are flexible. And I see the geniusness in the creator, the great God Allah, or whatever you call the great God, in making children flexible. Because if they had older, brittle bones like adults, we would have a lot of big medical bills. And just the flexibility of children, their cartilages is a lot more flexible than us as adults. So there's a lot of wisdom in making sure that children receive certain teachings when they're young. And that's the whole nature of parenting. And I love the fact that legally, they're supposed to be around their parents for at least 18 years. So there's an accountability. You mentioned earlier that we have these potential. Now, if we don't embrace the potential as a father, as a brother, as a friend to society, then what do we really have? It now become chaos, because the second you have order, there's the opposite that can be, which is disorder. Somebody kind of bring us back to the center, that balance you spoke about. So that's more the approach. So I always think, even before I speak, and I choose my words wisely, because I know that people are listening. And believe it or not, they sometimes look up to us and they think that what we're saying is right. And later on, they might fall and be imprisoned, where they're now entrapped, where they cannot get out, because guess what? They violated certain codes, certain laws, certain precepts of other cultures, not knowing that they violated that. So it's always good if parents like you, now being well-traveled, knowing all these different things. It's a beautiful thing if Rashid is able to receive that wisdom, because that becomes wisdom to him, because now you're making a deposit. What he does later on, yes, he does have a choice, but at least you gave him the option to say, look, son, I'm gonna tell you this. If you put your hand in the fire, you're gonna get burnt. He doesn't have to put his hand in the fire to get burnt. Why would you this? No. You need to learn. I got burnt. He needs to learn. Now, even what you now have as a martial artist and all the degrees that you've now had, it would be wise for him to learn self-defense. Not that he has to use it. But again, I just want to interject as it pertains to that. But go ahead, my good brother.
Well, herein lies the true concept, masculinity. Whether I chose to manifest in this life as a male or female, that's just part of the selective process, or a contract that I made somewhere. So I manifested as a male, so I carry the masculine energy. By way of just assuming the masculine energy, I have certain responsibility. See, I have to not only protect my child, but I have a responsibility to protect the world, because the world is not just me or my child; it's everybody. So I have this functionality. I must protect. I must provide. Those are things that come from masculinity. And in when somebody talks about infectious or what is the term that they use nowadays? Something masculinity, bad masculinity, whatever. When you try to be masculine, too masculine is like, Anyways, it's not important. But here's this: as a masculine individual, not as a man, but as a masculine individual, because I carry this energy, I am going to teach my son, and it is my responsibility to teach my son how to survive in this world. Because again, this world is part of is not the reality. It's part of the reality. Like I said, there is, but in order for there is not. You see what I mean? So in order for that to be a reality, there has to be something that is not reality.
Correct.
We exist in a spectrum of duality. That's what I'm trying to say. So I as a masculine man, I must teach my son how to survive in this, how to interact socially, emotionally, how to communicate. That's my responsibility as not only as a father, but just the way. Listen, the truth is this: if I chose to manifest in this life as a masculine, I had the responsibility to teach these things and to convey these things, not just to my son. I have a response. It's part of my function as a masculine individual to provide, protect, to help, so to pass on certain information, to keep the survival of the fetus type of thing going, or the cycle going. So it's not just that this is not, and this is the wonderful part about now that I see it now, that it's not just about my son. Before it wasn't about my daughter, and now it's about my son. It's not that anymore. So when I see my son, I am imparting things from my experiences that are going to help him understand, not change, because I don't want him to become a fighter and change something. There's a saying: when you try to fight and change something, you usually become that something. So I want him to have a different mindset. So I would like him to think everything as an opportunity. So I'm going to teach him how to. Yes, I'm going to teach him martial arts. I am going to teach him how to not only survive physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Those are my duty as a masculine individual. So, and the fact that it's going to help me is that yes, I have a ninth and a 10th degree black belt, not only in the samurai family line of Takai Yoshin-ryu, but I also have in Kukiryu or Kukiryu, I have a 10th degree black belt. And it's a red belt actually, which means you become now a master inherited teacher. So, and I have spent over 50 years in the martial arts, and at least 45 of them has been teaching. So I have a set of skills that yes, I would like to share with my child, and I did use them, to a certain degree, and I did taught special forces, and I also have a third school of martial thought that I developed from all my experiences. It's a paramilitary type of training. I will pass that down too. And we'll see where he's going to take us. If we have to open up a school for just my son, because he needs to be in that environment. Even if when I do it for free, that will be awesome. That will be a pleasure and an honor. But I will, I will do my due diligence with my son, because again, it's not just about him. It is about the world in general. I have that responsibility, so I have to do my part.
Well said. What I'm hearing, and just the way I process information at the time, I see our actions as deposits, right?
Yeah.
Or withdrawals. If our action towards humanity is positive, it's a deposit. If our action towards humanity is negative, it's a withdrawal that can become detrimental. And the truth of the matter is, if our nature is to become like the creator is always given. I think about the sun. I think about just the abundance of the planet. I think about just how farmers live. They put something in the earth, one seed, and just the duplication and the multiplication that comes forth. And if we can have the same thought pattern, even now, this is your seed, this is your child going forth. He looks like you partially, he looks like the mother partially. So we're seeing a merger of world, a merger of ideology. So now, if everything about us is not the most positive, and we see certain tendency, then it's our duty to make sure that we encourage our child to improve in this area. And just like all the great things that you've done along the lines of teaching and now having students out there in the world who've now had schools now of their own, making ones better learn the art of what? Defending themselves. Not going out looking for a fight, but learn to defend themselves. And sometimes having the confidence to know that you don't even have to fight. That's the beauty. So there's much contribution in your story from what I've heard. And Rashid is truly, in a very good position to be able to now be in that line to continue a legacy.
Well, and that's one of the things I learned in martial arts, which I apply to life as well in general. And that's what I meant before when I was speaking about being a father, that we tend to make a list. We tend to be details on things. While you're making lists and making detail, putting down details, guess what? Life just passed by. In martial arts, you read a lot of stories about a lot of ads. Oh, we teach you discipline. We teach respect to children. Listen, you cannot. No one can teach respect to a child. Only a father or mother, that is, by their action. Discipline. All these you cannot teach all these things. Those are things that come about as a byproduct, as a result of something. In the martial arts, I learned, okay, let me stop talking and doing about things about teaching respect and discipline. Guess what? I taught with my heart, and I was not only truthful, but I became a sensei that my student, whether they were 2 years old, 3 years old, 50 years old, they always say, "I want to be like sensei." What did you say to my son? He keeps telling me that he want to be like you. What about this? And I used to explain to the father, listen, that's just a face. But in reality, I know that I have touched them somehow, but I touch them in a truthful way, in a God-given way. So I didn't have to be working in the nuances of things. I just have to come from a place of love. That's it. So I taught how to defend themselves. And I said, well, listen, and I will explain to them, there are consequences to each and every action. If you do this, this could happen. This could happen. What if you behave this way? What do you think would happen? So I will put in the position that they can think for themselves. But again, not think like me. So I wasn't teaching me. I wasn't teaching them a system. I was simply sharing my love of the martial arts through the martial arts. So, and you can see the difference. And this is the last 20 years, I started changing my teaching philosophy from the old school. It's from, I had the bone breaking, I have all the scars to show you. I can show you at least 25 scars that I have the martial arts. Even look at my tooth. One tooth is half dead. That's from the martial arts. But again, that's old school.
That's right.
So by doing that, I was able to select. I said, you know what? I think this is inhumane. I don't think this is necessary to be that violent or to be this to cultivate anger or animalistic behavior. Let's cultivate a higher self. Let's feed the higher self. Let's come from a place of love, understanding, perseverance, patience, and show the consequences of things and explain those things and teach the martial art. Teach them, like, if you want to fight for real, this is how you fight. This is what you do. This is what you should start thinking about. What do you think about this? So now I'm not teaching this. I am teaching all of it. See? Wow. So now the individual, my student, were able to go beyond themselves. I have students all over the world still. I have students from countries that in Africa that they're dying for me to come and spend some time with them. I'm tired of traveling.
They're not dying. They're hoping. They're hoping for you to come.
Yeah, I know. That's true. That's true. They're hoping that I will go.
Yes.
But I keep putting them down because I'm just tired of traveling. It's exhausting. And I really want to enjoy my son. I want to enjoy him now because his time goes by so fast. And I want to make sure that there are certain values that I pass on so that when he's 13, I don't have to question him. Hey, where are you going to go? He's going to go, hey, Papi, I'm going to go with my friend, hang out, do this, do this. See you there. See? So now I know. So we have communication. So I'm trying to utilize all of that I learned into my 50 years in the martial arts, and I put it into my life. And not only that, I have been able to spread that to my teachings and my understanding, and also my own applications. Not only as a father, but as a husband or as a masculine man. And when I say masculine man, please understand, it doesn't mean the arrogant guy who's macho guy. None of this stuff. Masculinity has little to do with those things. It's just about my functionality within nature. That's what I'm really talking about. So I want to make sure that I take some of this and I pass it on, this knowledge, and I try to, like I said, allow my son to discern between the foolish and the intelligent person, and be able to become wise with these things.
Yes.
I'm not going to make him wise. I'm not. That's not my choice. That's not my objective. I'm not going to make him my way. I'm not going to teach him to be like me. I cannot do that. That will be a violation of natural laws. So I am not going to push my belief system into my child. I will help him understand and process things in a way that he can make a wise choice when it comes to him.
Well said. Well said. There you have it. There you have it. He touched on, and he brought it home. He landed plane. He mentioned love. He started to see his role and his duty towards his son. Yet, he know his son has what? Free will. But he's willing to utilize the 18 years that he's responsible as his duty as a man. So, with that being said, it's truly an honor to have you, the listening audience, our viewers with us today, to build with us, listen with us, and to also learn from some of the situation that we spoke about, because there are many sons out there, there are many daughters out there, there are many fathers out there, there are many brothers out there, there are many situations that are similar to what it is that we spoke about here today. So with that being said, again, thank you for being here in the studio with us. This is
Honor.
Mr. Hanzo Ariza-El. The man has many hats, as you could see, and I'm your host, Curtis Douglas-El. Thank you for watching Universal Pathways. And again, you can always be able to view us online on the various different social media platforms, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, and you can go directly and refer others to be able to go to millenniumtv24.com to be able to view our show here from 1 to 2 every Saturday. So with that being said, thank you for being with us, and we see you hopefully next Saturday. Peace and love.